Good morning, students. Welcome to Spanish 2-3, Unit 31. This is session 16, recording for week 17. I'm Mrs. Daniel. I'm subbing for Mrs. Alvarado. And we're going to be, as I said, beginning Unit 31, which is the last new vocabulary unit that we'll be covering this school year. If you take a look at your calendar for week 17 coming up, you'll notice that we're going to be doing some more grammar practice with por and para, and some practice conjugating lots of verbs. Spanish 2, particularly, and 3 emphasizes a lot of verb tense learning and really trying to get a handle on the Spanish verbs. And in Spanish 3, we work more on translation and becoming more and more fluent in the language. So you'll see practice with those aspects of the grammar here on Monday and Tuesday. I'll see you in the live session next Wednesday. And then Thursday, you'll have a test, and Friday your essential question will be due. You won't actually see the grammar portion of this week's lesson until week 18. So the objectives for this week's lesson are to cover the essential question. Vocabulary is highlighting relationships, and the grammar section is covering the perfect tenses. Present perfect particularly. Okay, so here's that essential question that'll be due on the 17th. Oh, not on the 17th. And for the end of week 17. When is the perfect tense used in Spanish, and how is it formed? I apologize for that. I had trouble with that last week. So our vocabulary, as we begin, is centered around the theme of relationships. We're going to go over the words that are going to be presented to you in the lesson. I will pronounce the word in Spanish. Please repeat, listening to the sound of your own voice and copying the sounds that you hear. You can go ahead and look next to the word.
Charlie, please come to the office.
For the translation. Okay, so the first set of vocabulary words have to do with people, las personas. And the first word that you'll be repeating is el amigo. Can you repeat? El amigo. El novio. La novia. La pareja. El mejor amigo. El esposo, and la esposa. Many of these words have a masculine and a feminine version, such as el novio and la novia, el esposo y la esposa. Here are some other useful words that will come into play. Talking about a romantic relationship, principally around weddings and marriage. La boda, can you repeat? La boda. La cita. La cita, the date. La luna de miel, literally honeymoon, luna de miel. Amor. El beso, and el abrazo. Okay, so those are terms you might use. Here are some useful verbs. Now remember, when you do your activities in Middlebury, they're going to ask you in the speaking and writing portions to use some of the verbs that were introduced in the lesson. These are some of those verbs. And oftentimes when I'm correcting, I notice that students don't particularly pay attention to the list of verbs, and they just come up with whatever they want to say and not particular to this list. So we want to get practice using these words. Mr. Hayden, I'm having a lot of problems with this overhead. It's not working. I don't know if you can help me. It just keeps going in and out. I just keep going now because I'm online.
Yeah, no, you're, yeah, I don't know.
Stuck. Okay.
So we need to start to use our imagination.
Okay. All right, the first word that we're going to talk about, and then we're going to go through a kind of a matching quiz activity. So the first one to hug and repeat, please, is abrazar. Abrazar. This is an AR verb, right? So we're conjugating in the regular AR sense. Here's another one, amar. Repeat, amar. Apreciar. Apreciar. Besar is to kiss. Casarse. Casarse is a reflexive verb because you're marrying yourself, literally, to someone. The next one is darse cuenta. Darse cuenta. So the verb portion of that expression is reflexive also. Discutir. Discutir is an IR verb. To argue. I remember by relating it to the word discuss, but it's one of those false cognates. Enamorarse de. Repeat. Enamorarse de. Enamorarse de means to fall in love with. Okay. Engañar. Engañar is to cheat. Invitar. Invitar, what does that one look like? Exactly the same in Spanish and English, right? Invite. Molestar. Molestar is to molest or bother. Pelear. Pelear is to argue. It's to fight, really, sometimes with words. Querer. Querer is a verb which means to love, but in a different way than the word amar, which you see up above. This is a desiring kind of love, rather than a pure sort of heart love. Salir con. Salir con is to go out with someone. Salir en cita con. Salir en cita con, to go out on a date with, so you name the word cita in there. Soñar con. Soñar con, to dream about. And terminar. Terminar is to finish or to break up the relationship. All right, so let's see how much you remember. Let's see if you can match any of these pictures with the words above. Which one is novio? Novio. Okay, what does that word mean? The boyfriend. So which one kind of centers around the boyfriend, I would have to say? Which one? The third one. I sort of the one I would pick, probably. We'll see if we're right when we do the process of elimination thing. How about el amigo? El amigo. The friend. So which one would you put for that one? Okay, let's go there with it. How about el mejor amigo? See, the best friend, right? I'm going to choose this one, that best friend. Okay. La novia, focusing on the girl. Would you put this one? Okay. So we have la pareja left, the couple, and we have el amor. So both of these, I don't know. I guess I would choose la pareja here and el amor here. Now, oftentimes these slides correspond with slides in your Middlebury. So when you take a look at that lesson, you may find that there's a name written underneath it in English, and then you can make the correct association. But just looking at the pictures, I think we made pretty good choices here. All right, here's some more to match la esposa. That looks like an easy one. That would be the bride. Can we choose this one? And how about la boda? Right, so can we choose this one? It's like the wedding. El beso, the kiss. So let's go down here. Let's say el esposo, focusing on him. Shall we choose the first one because he's the prominent one in this? And let's say la cita, the date down here. And la luna de miel, honeymoon. So let's say this is a honeymoon picture. Looks like they're having fun. Okay, here's a couple more. El abrazo, the hug. Shall we choose this one? Okay. La cita a ciegas. That's funny. Las citas ciegas. What does ciegas mean? That wasn't on our list, but it's talking about blind, like a blind date. But here, look at the picture of it. They have their eyes covered, so that's a good clue. Okay. Abrazar means to hug, right? Which one would you choose for that? This one? This one, okay. Put that one. Besar, to kiss. That's a pretty clear one, I'd say, of all of them on this picture. I'd come all the way around here. That looks like a kiss. Apreciar, to appreciate. Should we choose the family for that one? And amar. Let's choose that one. Good. You're identifying all those words. That's great. All right. So here's another set. Molestar. To bother. Which one? Which one did you say? This one, bothered. That almost looks like an argument. But it does look like they're bothered, doesn't it? I was thinking to choose this one for bother because it's like, you know, just, I can't sleep. Bothering me kind of thing. So let's say casarse is to get married. Go here. Enamorarse de. Okay. Which one would you choose for that one? This one? Okay. Invitar. Okay, so let's choose the invitation. Let's call this discutir. So then you've got engañar. So, oh yeah, I see it. I get it now. Here we go. He's a little bit upset here. All right, so that's pretty much our set of words. And this is an interesting kind of cultural tip that has to do with these words. And you'll get a couple lessons on it in week 18, I believe. And the idea is of piropos. Piropos are short verses or funny phrases created by mischievous men. Through them, men hope to start conversations with women. So it's kind of like a little flirtatious thing that a man might say in order to get the attention of a woman, make her laugh, maybe make her like him. It's kind of a little verbal game that they play. Here's an example of a piropo, and it's in Spanish. You'll notice it rhymes in Spanish, but then of course the translation doesn't rhyme. Adiós, corazón de arroz, el año que viene me caso con vos. You see the arroz and the vos here? So when it's said, it rhymes. But literally in English, it doesn't translate as well. Goodbye, heart of rice. Next year you will be my bride. So it's kind of like a little, you know, flirtatious thing to say, whether he's serious or not. Now, piropos are widespread, shall we say. In many cultures you'll find them, little things. But a lot of them are not in good taste, just to let you know. Sometimes they talk about all kinds of things or say it in a not polite way. This is an example of a piropo in good taste, and you're going to be like I said, doing a lesson next week on these. But if you would like extra credit, you can bring a list of 10 of these to class next week for 10 points extra credit and turn them in. They must be in good taste. If you go and look it up on the internet, piropos, you'll find all kinds of things in there. So if you make a list of 10, not the 10 that are on your Middlebury lesson, but another 10, and submit those next week when we have our lesson online, then it's worth extra credit to you. Any questions on that? All right, so now we're going to move on into the grammar section of our lesson. The last grammar point that you'll be learning is about the perfect tenses, and it's an introduction really to the perfect tenses. We have perfect tenses in English as well as Spanish, and perfect tenses are used to express completed actions, so something that's been done and finished. Perfect tenses make use of two verbs, the verb have in English and then the main verb. In Spanish, it's the verb haber, and then the main verb is in the past participle, and that's the verb action that's spelled out. All right. There are 4 perfect tenses in Spanish. They all use the same past participle or main verb in the same form. The difference between each of the tenses is in the conjugation of the verb haber. So the helping verb, haber, changes tenses, and that's what changes the tense of the whole verb. Haber is the auxiliary verb, and it does translate in English to have, but you don't use the verb tener when you're making a perfect tense, which is also translated have. You use instead the verb haber. It doesn't have the exact same meaning, so we translate it the same. So here are the conjugations of the verb haber in the present. So to form the present perfect, you're going to conjugate haber in the present and then use the past participle. So these are the conjugations of haber. Has, ha, hemos, habéis, han. When pronounced, the H is silent. So it's instead of he. and has instead of has, etc. Now let's look at what it looks like in its full form. So the past participle part that is combined with the helping verb in English is a verb that usually ends in en or ed. To form the past participle in Spanish, the ending would be ADO for an AR stem verb and IDO for an ER or IR stem verb. So if you're conjugating hablar, an AR verb, and you're changing it to its past participle, it would be hablado. Comer would be comido, and vivir would be vivido. So you see you're dropping the infinitive form, the AR, and adding that ending, ADO. Dropping the ER and adding IDO, and dropping the IR and adding IDO. The completed present perfect tense using the verb haber together with the past participle looks like this. Yo he estudiado español, meaning I have studied Spanish. You see that the idea of having studied is a completed form of the idea. I have studied, in other words, I'm not studying it anymore, I'm done. That's the sense that you get with the perfect tense. So the second one with an IR verb example, ellos han dormido hoy. They have slept today. They're awake now, is the idea. The third one with an IR verb, tú has comido pan. You have eaten bread. What questions do you have about that? Are you thinking of how we use that present perfect in English? We use it quite often. I have gone to the store. I've already eaten lunch. You know, we use it frequently, but we probably don't go through all the steps of conjugation in our mind because it's sort of automatic. But when you're first learning a second language, then you have to kind of think it through grammatically in order to choose the right form. All right, this is an introduction to perfect tenses. It's only the present perfect, and so in the next week we'll be doing a little bit more about this grammar. It won't be a new concept, we'll just expand this concept a little bit, and that'll be the actual last grammar lesson of the year. So you've seen the last vocabulary lesson on relationships, and then you'll be seeing the last grammar lesson. All right, so this is what's coming up, and this is important to get an idea of. First of all, the essential question 17 is due on Friday. It says so on the Middlebury calendar. You can see where it's due. If you were here live and in person, then that 10 points is automatically going to be added. There are 2 more sessions. Next week, the week of 5/11, and the following week, the week of 5/22. Next week in our session, we will begin to review. This is going to be, this is week 17, so it is in week 16, but the video always is for the following week. So this will be the essential question that you'll answer. So there's going to be 2 more sessions, live sessions, next week, and then the week of 5/22. So we're going to be a little bit ahead in order to give you time to review longer. So next week we'll do our last section of the grammar, and then we'll begin our review. And then the following week, we'll have the rest of our review and then another activity that we have to complete. That will be our last 2 live sessions. The testing window is the last week of May. It shows up on your Middlebury calendar as the following week, but there's only 3 days in that following week. The testing window begins the last week of May and extends through the first 3 days of June, which are the last days of school. If you're a senior, you have to be completed with all your work by the 29th, which is that Friday, the last week of May. So if you're a senior, you have to have this all completed anyway. But if you're not a senior, you can still have it completed by then if you like. The important thing to note is that all classwork from everyone is due on Friday, 5/29. Even though you will still be allowed to take the final test during the first 3 days of the following week, you won't be able to submit any more classwork. So the classwork deadline is 5/29. There's an announcement posted on the Middlebury calendar to that effect. And the reason I'm emphasizing this is because when I go into the student work, I see that many students are behind, kind of taking advantage of the fact that some of their activities are still unlocked even though they're past due. I'm seeing that there's a lot of past due assignments in there for a lot of students. And I'm concerned that they have enough time to complete them all. So if you wait much longer before catching up, I'm afraid there won't be enough time to complete it all. So if you don't complete an assignment, it's a 0. And the assignments will be locked after Friday, 5/29 at noon. Any questions? Alrighty. Thank you for watching. Please K-mail me with any questions you might have. Hopefully this recording will be clear and complete. Please get your work turned in on time and with enough time to do the grading. This is Mrs. Daniel for Mrs. Alvarado signing off and hoping you have a great day.